start the public comment portion of the meeting. Speakers will be heard in the order they signed up. Looks like Kevin Dujan, first person.
Scott, can you give me
Would
a
you
phone?
state your name too?
Sure, Scott, can you give me a phone number? Sure. My name is Kevin Dujan, and thank you, President Healy, for my time to speak tonight. I want to start off with 2 questions for Diane Jennings, Board Member Diane Jennings. To start with, do you know what day today is? What holiday today is? Silence. It's Martin Luther King's Day, for your knowledge. Are you familiar with the speech that Dr. King made called The Children of Darkness and the Children of Light? Have you heard of that speech, Diane? Again, silence. For your knowledge, Dr. King believed the problems in our communities are not only caused by the children of darkness, but they're also caused by the children of light who say nothing and allow bad things to happen. So I'd like to point everyone's attention to Dan Drew, who is not here tonight. Dan Drew was a man who said he was going to come on this board, he was going to solve some of the problems caused by Director Mary Weimer, deal with a lot of the issues, and then Dan Drew doesn't bother to show up. And that seat could have gone to somebody who actually was going to work for the community, do things for the community. So Dan Drew, what a colossal disappointment, the 3rd meeting in a row, doesn't show up, and also doesn't phone in, doesn't Skype, doesn't make any appearances. So just, let's note that for the record. Dan Drew might be coming, but just be late. But back to Dr. King. Today is Martin Luther King Day. Dr. King talked about the children of darkness and the children of light. Children of darkness do bad things in our world, but the children of light are the people who the community counts on to do the right thing, to speak out. And Dr. King said it's actually even worse when good people are either afraid or too timid to speak out and do the right thing, and they let the children of darkness do bad things. There are 4 board members on this board who voted to keep access to child porn accessible here in this library. Diane Jennings voted for that, Nancy Healy voted for that, Dennis Ryan voted for that, and Beth Garrett voted for that. There are 3 good people on this board who time and again have voted for common sense. But unfortunately, the 3 good people, the children of light, never seem to show up at the same time. It's very rare to have you all here. You should be here always. You are who Dr. King was talking about when Dr. King said that the problems in our community are caused because the children of light do not speak out against these things. In August, Diane Jennings admitted that child porn was accessed in this library and that police weren't called. Why haven't any of you grilled Mary Weimer and asked her why she did not call the police when she had evidence that child pornography was accessed in this library? And a day later, the man that was accused of doing it came into the library. She could call the police again, but she chose not to. You have reports from former employees in this library who have said they went to Mary Weimer and they told her that they felt uncomfortable working here because it was a sexually charged environment with men masturbating up in the computer area, accosting women and children, and Mary Weimer told them if they didn't like it, that they should quit. You have 2 people. One actually came and spoke to you in person at a board meeting in November of 2013. The other person made a complaint in writing to the board and spoke at a meeting back in 2009. And no one has ever questioned Mary Weimer on why she did this. And it's a violation of the Equal Employment Opportunity Act to do that to an employee, to tell them that if they're not comfortable with a sexually charged environment, to just quit. You know, you as a board have sat there and you have ignored this problem for more than a year. And Megan and I keep coming here, and we will keep coming, until you finally address this at one point. We want an explanation for why Mary didn't call the police. You know, if there was a fire in this building, she would call the fire department. If somebody was having a heart attack, she'd call for an ambulance. When someone's accessing child porn on a computer in this building, why isn't she calling the police? Why isn't that happening? Why does she have to be reminded to do things like that? That makes no sense. And the other incidents that you have, look at your own incident reports. You know, Children of Light, the 3 of you, Dan, Kathy, Julie, I'm speaking to you. Look at these things. Why don't you pay attention to what Bridget Bittman does as well? Bridget Bittman tells lies to the media that are printed in the Orland Park Prairie. She just lied on December 26th in an article when she said that your change to the public comment policy was all voluntary. You just did it to be more welcoming, as if you woke up that morning and decided to be nice to the public. We all know that I sued you in circuit court to get you to remove those restrictions. Bridget says in the paper it's a flat-out lie that it had nothing to do with the Open Meetings Act. You have a spokesman who's paid $80,000 a year, and she lies to the media on your behalf. You know full well that you removed those restrictions because every one of those you were sued on. You were sued on Diane's favorite restriction when you don't want to hear criticism. You say that's a personal attack or that's a personnel issue. That nonsense, you had to wipe clean, Diane, because you were sued on it and you were going to lose in court. That's why you did that. That's why you did it, Diane. It's in the settlement agreement paperwork. That's in there. Thank you for my time, President Healy.
Megan Fox.
I'm Megan Fox. Dan Drew, I can't believe you showed up tonight. That's great. I'm glad you're here. But boy, what a disappointment, Dan. What in the world? I want to ask you a question. Why would you rely on Mary Weimer to get your paperwork in to run again for your seat? Why would you do that? Didn't you think that this woman would be hostile towards you when she knows how you vote against her? I'm floored by that. So now you can't run for your seat because you relied on her to get you your election paperwork. I'm just floored by that. I can't believe you relied on her to do that. Did you believe her? That she liked you? That she was your friend? I'm shocked by that. And this is why we can't get good things done here, because you now got kicked out of the race because she didn't get you your paperwork in time. But why on earth would you think she would is just incredible to me. It's like you don't understand what it is you're dealing with here. And I'm sorry for that, because I think you could have done good things here if you just stood up and did it. But you didn't come. I've been to more meetings than you have. And I can't understand why you went to the trouble of putting your resume in for this job when I know of 2 people who put their resumes in who would have been here every time. But you didn't. You took a seat from somebody else who could have been here doing something good with that time. And that's shameful. I was on the Rails website, Reaching Across Illinois Library System, and Dee Brennan, who's the head of that, had written an article about why libraries can't be trendier and things that they need to do to be trendier. And I found a comment by a librarian named Alice Majka, who works at the Cary Library in Illinois, and boy, I could have written this myself, and I just wanted to share it with you. Why don't or can't libraries be trendier? Speaking as a native Illinoisan who still lives and works still in the library in this state, just the fact that we're in Illinois today should answer that question. Illinois, and as a result, Illinois libraries, is in a fiscal crisis. When I started my library career over 40 years ago, there were several library systems throughout the state, 8 or 9, I think. Now there are 3, as we all know. Until the state is fiscally sound, which I'm sure won't be until decades after I'm dead, libraries have to be prudent with what little and ever-dwindling taxpayer money they get. I wish the public were more interested in what goes on in libraries all around. Perhaps it'll take another fiscal crisis, like the one that forced Illinois into a 3-library system state, for the public to actually attend library board meetings and ask questions, demand answers. Many patrons still look at libraries, librarians, and library workers as benevolent great aunts or nuns who live, eat, and breathe library, who would never misspend taxpayer money. It's time the public wakes up and speaks out, because I know that's why many of the changes or challenges you mentioned have not happened yet. I could have written that. All it took was a little digging for us to find that your management has been misspending taxpayer money at an alarming rate for the last several years. Now you find yourself in a fiscal crisis and you want to raise taxes to 12% on the people of Orland Park to cover up the fact that you have bad management. That's not the answer. Look, I know it's uncomfortable for you that we come here every time and that we're poking at you. You think that's what we're doing. What we're trying to do is get you to follow the law and be a good government board instead of a bad government board that is constantly doing things against and not for the benefit of the people of your community. Diane Jennings, you said something once that was pretty profound. You said that just because we come every month, you're not going to jump around like a puppet on a string for us. Unfortunately, what she said, it's interesting because elected people should be puppets to the people, for the people they work for the people that elected you here. You should be a puppet to your people. You should do what they want you to do, what they hired you to do. Instead, this board has been puppets for the American Library Association, which is a special interest group that is not elected by any member of the public. Yet people in the public here in Orland Park, they've been writing letters to the editor. I don't know if you've read them or not, but they've been writing letters to the editor every week. And they think what you're doing is ridiculous. And they think the way you run this place is terrible. And they think that she is a bad director. So, you know, it's interesting, Diane, you don't want to be a puppet because of us. But you should really think about being a puppet to the people who put you here. Because they don't like what you're doing either, Diane. I read a letter to the editor in the paper the other day. Thank you.
Nancy Junker. Could you state your name too?
Nancy Junker. I've heard board members ask how they can connect with the constituents. I would suggest transparency. Instead of meetings at 2 p.m. on Friday or 2-hour closed sessions on the third Monday where decisions are made, why not have truly open board meetings? Secrecy does not promote connectedness in a marriage, a friendship, or public service. The taxpayer you volunteer to serve. Surveying a captive audience to meet a predicted result hardly meets the criteria of fact-finding. Communication seems to have been lost in intellectual freedom and unfiltered access. I thought communication was transmission, the exchange of ideas and information. You have successfully blocked the ideas and information from the public at large for some time. But change is coming. Change is constant. Nothing stays the same. None of us is in control. If you want a premier library, be a leader. Serve the public. Service bodies are to look out for the common welfare. You gain your authority from the public. You are trusted with tax dollars. It's not free money. It's our hard-earned wages, and not to be spent frivolously on whining, dining, collectibles, and unsubstantiated expenses. It takes courage to admit error and make amends. Are you up to the challenge? You may get a ticket on the Range Road for doing a U-turn, but an about-face and behavior here is welcome. Applause and nods of approval await you for doing so, for doing the honest thing. Father Pio of Purposefully says, pray, hope, don't worry. So I will take the remainder of my 5 minutes for prayer, asking God for honesty and courage from everyone here. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know what that means for each of us. I just pray.
motion to,
Before we do that, Dan, did you ask Mary to file papers for you?
No comment. I don't answer questions like that. So. No.
You did not make the fix, because she doesn't do that. She doesn't do it for me, she doesn't do it for Kathy. I filed yours, I filed mine. That's true. Then does that file hers? I presume the fourth guy filed his own. Mary doesn't file papers for us. She doesn't campaign for us, she doesn't do anything like that for us. I move that we had a closed session to discuss probable imminent or pending litigation and approval of minutes from prior closed sessions.
There's a sign of
It's nice to see you again. That was good. You know, they're not allowed to, if you want to speak, they should have asked if there's anyone else. You don't have to. No.
Yeah, you don't have to be on the speaker, you just pop up and say, I have to speak.
That's actually, this is another violation of, they violated the law.
No, actually, I went around this weekend and did my own survey about it. So
You did? What'd you come up with?
I mean, it was a small sample, just
Yeah.
around the neighborhood, 20 people.
Yeah. Oh, look at that.
It's quite interesting.
Yes, it
Nobody
is.
voted for 12%.
Wow. Look at how many, this is a good survey. Look at how many annual library usage, none. Look at how few.
Right.
And look at how much approved no tax levy at all. Look at this.
That was another violation of the.
This was a great idea.
Because they didn't
Do
give
you,
you
I
the
can?
opportunity.
Thank you. If you would like to, in that way, you can write one to the Attorney General and copy of that. Not being
The
able
fact
to
that you wanted to speak and they didn't.
They didn't
give
offer you an opportunity.
Because it's not a requirement that
They
you
just
have to
closed
be
it.
on the phone. But she didn't ask if anyone else wanted
This
to
thing they
speak.
do, this
Never
thing,
been
she-
involved in any of this before, so this when this
Mine is
thing-
Kevin, by the way.
Kevin.
When we were talking about email that you sent to Mary on December 8th, and then Mary responded back on December.
Well, then why didn't you tell Diane that didn't happen? She just asked you, did you ask them if your election paperwork, and you said no. Yet the email says you already did to you. Why didn't you tell her that that's true? When she asked, not that Mary was going to hand in your paperwork, but that for some reason you were relying on her to give you.
Public comments over.
You're not in session
you're not
right
in
now.
session.
I can talk to you. You're not in session.
You know, your dad said that you want to run for mayor someday, and that's why you applied to be on this board. You can't treat the public this way, Dan. You don't show up for 2 meetings in a row and you come back and you have a bad attitude towards people. But we have in FOIA production that email from December 8th where you're asking about why Mary didn't give you the packet or whatever. You asked if instead Beth was given a packet.
You said you were disappointed that Mary didn't give you the paperwork you asked for your election paperwork. So you did count on her to give that to you, and then you didn't get it in time. So now you're not running. So when Diane asks you, is that true? Did you try and give her? You should say yes, because I have your email, which I'm going to publish.
Nancy, I think there was an open meetings act violation today too. There was a man here that wanted to speak and he was not given opportunity to. He just closed away from public comment without letting this man. He came, he done the survey. He came and he wanted to speak tonight and he was not aware that there was a sign-up sheet. The OMA does not require people to sign up, so the OMA was violated again tonight. The man who wanted to speak and he was waiting, but then he quickly went in closed session without asking is there anybody else after Megan.
Yeah, he came up to us afterwards and asked, when was I supposed to speak? So just so you know, just letting you know, if next time you might want to just say, is there anybody else who wants to speak? We didn't know him, or he came in late or something.
And he conducted a survey of one residents that shows the exact opposite of the survey that Bridget claims she conducted, showing that people wanted the 12%. And he came to present that today, but was denied the opportunity to present that.
Okay, I'm gonna, back into regular session. Do we have a motion, please? So move.